Loudness. Let's talk about loudness and how to achieve a loud mix in Bitwig Studio using hard clipping. Now I know that everybody wants to achieve a meaty and full mix. And while slamming a limiter on your music might sound fine at first, it's often a very nice solution to use hard clipping to achieve a great and full mix. So let's just take a look at what hard clipping means so we can get a good understanding and grasp before we dive into using hard clipping on our music. So say that we have any kind of audio signal, a sine wave, and when using hard clipping we basically flatten out everything above a certain threshold. And the threshold is indicated by this red line in this example. This is the hard clipping threshold. And say that the threshold is 0 dB, that's like the maximum value of our audio signal. And then anything that goes above 0 dB will be hard clipped and flatlined. And often a hard limiter has a kind of drive, which helps us drive the signal to increase the audio before it hits the hard clipping stage, that threshold that we set. And driving the signal into the hard clipper will make the hard clipping sound more gritty and harsh and meaty. And that is because anything that we hard clip will basically introduce odd harmonics and this kind of distortion. And that's basically upper harmonics, which will be perceived as a more gritty and more fizzy kind of signal. And since our ears are very picky about these higher frequencies, we will perceive that as a louder signal. So let's take a look at how we can achieve this in Bitwig Studio. So here we have a little song. Maybe you heard this one in some previous video. Let me know here in the comments if you heard this track before. And if we take a look at the master, we scroll to the bottom here and take a look at the master channel. We have a tool device, and I'm actually going to remove this tool device and take a look at the final output volume of the master mix. You see, we're well above 0 dB. We're actually at about plus 2.5 dB peak. And as you probably know, we never want to go above 0 dB, especially if we want to export this audio and send this to some kind of streaming platform or press. So let's solo the kick here in the drum group and take a look at the amplitude of the kick. Let's go into the mixer, and we can see that the kick channel hits at about minus 1.3 dB. But then as we add some other drums like snares, hi-hats, cymbals and stuff, we're gonna introduce build-up and we're gonna go above 0 dB probably. As we can see here, if we unsolo and just solo the whole drum group, so we get all these different percussions happening. You can see we're already at plus 0.9 dB. And then when we add all the other instruments like basses and leads and pads and stuff, you can see we're going into the red with about the plus 2.3, 2.5 dB. So we're not at a very good point here regarding the amplitude already with this mix. Now on the master channel, if we add a peak limiter and we're gonna activate the peak limiter and we'll set the input to 0 dB, the release to 10 milliseconds, and we have the ceiling set to minus 0.5 dB. So now it's our limiter that's acting as our soft clipper and clipping the signal. So nothing will exceed 0.5 dB. But the peak limiter isn't our best choice to achieve a loud mix, as you can hear if we drive the input into the limiter. We get this kind of a pumping effect. which is maybe not what you want, or maybe what you want, but we're going to take a look at how we can actually achieve a loud mix using the hard clipper. So if you add the effect grid plugin here before our peak limiter, and we're going to activate that one, and you add a hard clip module and a gain module and also the XP filter. I have this deactivated at the moment, but we're going to take a look at the hard clip and the gain module here in combination. The hard clipper is set to 0 dB, so if we just listen to the track here and take a look at the volume when we just have the effect grid patch activated here. So now all our audio, the drums and everything on the master bus goes through this effect grid patch, and it goes into the hard clipper, so anything that exceeds 0 dB will be hard clipped, and it will start to introduce these upper harmonics and distortion. And then with the gain device after the hard clip, we can reduce the volume if we need. So let's take a listen just with this effect grid active. So if you look at the peak limiter here, you can see that it's just removing 0.6 dB something. So it's a much better audio signal into the peak limiter compared to if we remove that hard clipper unit. The peak limiter needs to work much more on the audio signal if we don't have the hard clip. So we activate the hard clipping, and as we start to introduce the drive, which is driving the audio signal into the hard clipper, you can see that we get a more of a flat line at the top of our peaks. Let's also reduce the gain output as we increase the amplitude or the drive here on the hard clip. So you can clearly see those kick hits, or the transient of the kicks get flattened. So as you can see here, we're not going above 0 dB on the audio from the peak limiter, but we still have a very loud and meaty and full mix due to the hard clipping. So let's hear without and with. First without, and then I'm gonna activate the hard clipping. And personally, I often set these, the ceiling of the limiter either to -1 dB or -0.3 dB. When exporting audio for, say, Instagram, I usually set the ceiling of the limiters to -1 dB, and often -1 dB if I export audio to YouTube. But for streaming platforms, I often work with the true peaks of around -0.3 to -0.5 dB. So it depends on what kind of a platform you're exporting to, what kind of ceiling you're going to set on the peak limiter. So you can hear it's a very drastic difference here before and after using the hard limiter. Okay, so now we know how the hard clipper works, and we achieved a much louder signal. Now we can start activating that XP filter prior to the hard clip. Because the XP filter here is interesting, because by itself, when we have the filter set to the top, we're not filtering anything basically. And we have this resonance set to 0. And you're going to set the XP filter to low pass 1, so 6 dB per octave. The XP filter here is actually going to drive the signal further prior to going into the hard clip. So we also need to set the volume output of the XP filter a few dB lower, maybe -6, -5.8 dB something. But it's still gonna color the signal slightly before it hits the limiter. And I think it's a nice combination here, and creates a nice hard clipper plugin. Don't worry if you don't want to set up this yourself, you can always download this free patch on our Discord channel, so you just check the links here in the description to our Discord channel. And then, depending on your sounds and how much you want to drive the hard clipper, you will adjust this to suit your type of music. And for this music piece, I feel that plus 3.4 or 3.6 dB works quite nice and sounds pleasant. You can still hear there's tons of distortion added to the mix and a lot of meat, but it's not unpleasant. Okay, so I hope you liked this video on hard clipping and how to achieve a loud mix in Bitwig Studio. If you have any type of questions, as always, let me know here in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my new Bitwig channel, Mattias Bitwig Lab. Because a lot of people watch my videos, but not a lot of people subscribe to the channel, and subscribing to the channel is a much easier way to get to know when I release new videos. And as always, if you want to support these videos and support my channel, head over to patreon.com/Gellhain, and it's just a cup of coffee each month, and you get a lot of insights behind the scenes, behind making these videos, and a lot more stuff that doesn't come out on my YouTube channel. And also you get some free stuff like presets, samples, and other cool stuff. Okay, so that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye.